George Stephanopoulos, The Situation Room, The Inside Story of Presidents in Crisis. Step into one of the most pivotal and secretive rooms in history as The Situation Room. The Inside Story of Presidents in Crisis takes you on a gripping journey through the corridors of power at the White House. From its inception during the tense Cold War era under President Kennedy to its role in managing the chaos of 9/11 and the unpredictability of Trump's tenure, the Situation Room has been the nerve center for critical decisions that shaped national and global events. This summary delves into the technological advancements, leadership styles, and intense pressures faced by presidents and their advisors in times of crisis. Expect to explore how the Situation Room's evolution has been central to the communication, command, and crisis management strategies of consecutive administrations, and uncover the unique stories behind key historical moments across decades.
Birth of a command center. In the early 1960s, the creation of the White House Situation Room transformed presidential decision-making, driven by necessity and historical currents. At the heart of its inception was Godfrey McHugh, an Air Force brigadier general, and close advisor to President John F. Kennedy. McHugh, leveraging his influence and acute understanding of Cold War exigencies, introduced Kennedy to the idea of a centralized nerve center for managing intelligence and operations. The term, Situation Room, first emerged in a 1961 military document, Concept for National Cold War Operations. This study, brought to Kennedy's attention by McHugh, recommended the establishment of a dedicated space within the executive offices to handle the burgeoning complexities of Cold War challenges. This suggestion proved precocious. Only 10 days later, the Bay of Pigs invasion underscored an urgent requirement for streamlined communication and decision-making protocols. The failed invasion in April 1961, orchestrated by the CIA to unseat Fidel Castro, exposed glaring communication breakdowns and an uncoordinated command chain. Kennedy's dissatisfaction with the operation's conduct and outcome propelled him into action. He saw the critical need for a centralized venue where secure, real-time information could be processed effectively. Consequently, on April 30, 1961, less than 2 weeks post-invasion, Kennedy decreed the establishment of the Situation Room. Its construction, directed by the Navy's Construction Battalion, transformed a basement bowling alley into a 4-room complex within a week. Though rudimentary at its start, it was equipped with essential secure communications and briefing capabilities, soon becoming indispensable in crisis management. The Situation Room's efficacy was validated a year later during the Cuban Missile Crisis. As Soviet missile installations in Cuba were discovered by U.S. reconnaissance, the Situation Room facilitated President Kennedy with invaluable, real-time data. The facility's capability to swiftly communicate Khrushchev's decision to dismantle the missiles via Radio Moscow highlighted its vital role in crucial decision-making scenarios. Initially operated predominantly by CIA staff, the Situation Room functioned round the clock with duty officers on 24-hour rotations, gradually incorporating personnel from various national security agencies. While not designed for command purposes, the Situation Room became a pivotal conduit for classified information, ensuring that the president and advisors remained informed, thus enhancing the decision-making apparatus during emergencies. Birthed out of Cold War demands, its legacy endures as a cornerstone of U.S. national security operations. The War Room Legacy. Imagine President Lyndon B. Johnson at the helm of a nation gripped by the Vietnam War, with the Situation Room as his command center. Here, he seeks constant updates, revealing an insatiable thirst for information. Imagine a March morning in 1965, where Johnson, unable to rest, calls in for the latest casualty reports from Saigon, underscoring his need to stay entrenched in every layer of conflict. This relentless pursuit of data, sometimes captured on dictabelt recordings, mirrors the intensity of his presidency's war-driven agenda. Wars don't just take a toll on nations, they carve deep marks into leadership. Johnson's trusted advisor, Walt Rostow, describes a day segmented by intense mornings, social evenings, and restless nights spent poring over reports. For Johnson, each missed detail was a missed opportunity to save lives, as affirmed by his daughter, Lucy. Unlike JFK, who seldom utilized the Situation Room, Johnson not only leveraged it extensively but also customized his space with his Oval Office chair, signifying how integral it became to his daily operations. In historian Mark Updegrove's view, Johnson utilized the Situation Room much like FDR employed the map room during World War II. This high-tech hub, with its secure phone lines and fax capabilities, though constrained by budget, stood as a bastion of real-time strategy. It played a pivotal role in 1967's Six-Day War, where Johnson adeptly used the Moscow-Washington hotline to negotiate with Soviet Premier Alexei Kosygin, averting nuclear disaster. Ultimately, Johnson's fervent engagement with the Situation Room speaks volumes about its evolution as an indispensable tool for wartime leadership. It was not merely a room but the epicenter of critical decision-making, steering through not just international turmoil but soon, domestic challenges as well. Leadership under fire. On a fateful afternoon in 1981, an attempt on President Ronald Reagan's life set the stage for one of the most defining moments in crisis leadership. John Hinckley Jr.'s attempted assassination sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving Reagan wounded but, against all odds, alive. Amid the initial chaos, the White House Situation Room became the nerve center for crisis management, giving birth to a remarkable yet tumultuous sequence of events as President Reagan's fate hung in the balance. National Security Advisor Richard Allen, in an unprecedented move, recorded the ensuing Situation Room meetings, where the president's closest aides grappled with uncertainty and disorder. Key figures gathered under intense pressure, including Staff Director David Gergen, Treasury Secretary Don Reagan, and Secretary of State Al Haig. As Vice President George H.W. Bush raced back from Dallas without a secure connection to Washington, the resulting leadership vacuum added a sense of urgency to the unfolding crisis. Amid frantic conversations and mixed information, Al Haig's self-proclamation of control sowed seeds of further confusion. His declaration, "I am in control here," was far from constitutionally sound, underscoring the challenges of effective communication in crisis situations. Compounding the tension were concerns over the control of the nuclear codes, the nuclear football. Haig's obsession with securing these codes reflected the gravity of the moment and the ambiguous chain of command. Simultaneously, a cryptic report of heightened Soviet submarine activity off the East Coast amplified the sense of a looming threat. However, Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger made a controversial call to escalate the alert level of the Strategic Air Command, contradicting Haig's public reassurances. The Situation Room's recordings captured this intense debate, alongside more human moments, such as the initial erroneous report of Press Secretary James Brady's death, followed by a poignant silence. Vice President Bush's eventual arrival brought stability and a focus on restoring order. His composed demeanor underscored the need for calm and decisive leadership in crises. Despite the chaos and confusion, the day highlighted critical weaknesses in the White House's communication and crisis management strategies. Consequently, these challenges spurred vital reforms, fortifying the Situation Room's infrastructure and refining its role as the epicenter of national emergency management, ensuring a more resilient response to future crises. Crisis Commanders. On that fateful morning of September 11, 2001, the White House Situation Room transformed into the heart of crisis control. As the first plane struck the World Trade Center, Ed Padinsky, poised for a regular day taking his daughter to preschool, was propelled into action by an urgent call. He raced back to the White House, where pivotal decisions and communications would be generated under pressure. Rob Hargis, another key figure, was already in high gear. With the Situation Room becoming the nerve center for the nation's response, Hargis stood firm when others suggested an evacuation, recognizing the critical nature of staying put to maintain direct communication with President Bush. The Situation Room director, Captain Deborah Lower, embedded with the president in Sarasota, provided him clear briefings and set up vital, secure communication channels. As Air Force One soared out of harm's way, she deftly managed interactions with key figures like Vice President Cheney and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice. The day unfolded as a mosaic of intense challenges, from global leader communications to real-time intelligence processing. Amidst this chaos, Hargis came face to face with the sobering dead list, which underscored the potential devastation they narrowly avoided. Meanwhile, Pedinsky's own sense of loss was deep, as he learned of colleagues' deaths at the Pentagon, a building he had left not long before to join the White House team. Despite personal tragedies, the team's resilience shone through, fueled by duty and necessity. Yet, the crisis starkly revealed the White House's gaps in communication infrastructure, as overloaded and insecure lines impeded their capacity to relay crucial information swiftly and accurately. These shortcomings spurred immediate action. In the wake of such a profound emergency, enhancing communication systems became a non-negotiable priority, resulting in critical upgrades for future crises. The tireless work of the Situation Room staff epitomized commitment under duress, ensuring unwavering support for the president. Their experience on September 11 not only altered the trajectory of crisis management in the White House but also set new operational standards, embedding a legacy of preparedness and resilience essential for navigating national emergencies. White House chaos unveiled. Omarosa Manigault Newman's firing from the White House on December 12, 2017, was anything but typical. It was a dramatic incident that encapsulated the unconventional and tumultuous nature of the Trump administration. Called to the Situation Room by Chief of Staff John Kelly, she was dismissed with claims of integrity issues, all captured secretly by Omarosa on a device she concealed. This bold action breached security protocols but also revealed the inner turmoil and distrust pervasive within the White House. Kelly suggested that a quiet departure would salvage her reputation, words Omarosa took as a veiled threat. While the Situation Room should have symbolized order and security, it instead became a backdrop for this spectacle, underscoring a lack of trust that extended to President Trump himself and his close circle. The culture of recording conversations became common practice, driven by constant skepticism and fear of betrayal. This atmosphere of suspicion deepened the sense of disarray that characterized the Trump era. Under Trump's tenure, chaos seemed routine. The administration frequently shifted its top officials, including 4 secretaries of defense, 4 directors of national intelligence, and 5 secretaries of homeland security, contributing further to the instability. Dissent was not uncommon. High-ranking officials like Rex Tillerson and James Mattis didn't shy away from questioning Trump's competence and leadership. Tom Bossert, a Homeland Security advisor, went as far as calling Trump the least disciplined person he'd encountered, portraying a leader who often acted on impulse. His decision to abruptly halt a military strike on Iran in June 2019, mere moments before execution due to concerns over casualties, highlighted his erratic decision-making approach, often swayed by the last counsel he received. Insiders like Bossert and National Security Advisor John Bolton, seasoned in advising various presidents, were baffled by Trump's disinterest in acquiring knowledge and his lack of curiosity, which starkly contrasted with his predecessors, such as George W. Bush, who made efforts to bridge knowledge gaps in foreign policy. The Trump administration's use of the Situation Room signified more than its literal purpose. It symbolized the broader systemic struggles, a severe dearth of trust and a consistent disregard for established protocols, that plagued his presidency from its very core, resulting in a compromised environment for internal security and coherent governance.
In the concluding insights, the Situation Room reveals its crucial role as an enduring and dynamic command hub, constantly evolving to meet the relentless demands of security and crisis management across presidential administrations. Key moments, from the strategic decisions made during the Cuban Missile Crisis to the chaotic and candid reactions during Reagan's assassination attempt, highlight how the room has been indispensable yet revealing in times of national and global emergencies. The narrative also underscores the varying leadership styles, from the intense involvement of Lyndon B. Johnson to the unconventional approaches under Donald Trump, that have reflected and relied on this pivotal space. As a perennial centerpiece of crisis navigation, the White House Situation Room remains a testament to the evolving complexities and imperatives of presidential decision-making in the face of unforeseen challenges.